G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and today, well, we're going to be doing a bit of an upgrade video. So I've got a Taranis QX7 here, which is an absolutely fantastic radio. I really like the size a little bit more than the bigger traditional Taranises, but today, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be upgrading it. We're going to be putting some new gimbals in there. We're going to be putting on one of these silicone cases, and I think just bringing this thing up to speed because for its price, this thing is an absolutely fantastic radio, and I know a lot of people out there. The Taranis systems, this is probably the FRSKY, is probably the most popular radio out there among drone pilots. So I think this is going to help a lot of you viewers out there. So we're going to stick it on the bench and we'll show just how easy it is to install these new Hall effect gimbals because they are the bee's knees. They feel absolutely fantastic. We'll put it back together and then put our case on the front. Alright, let's waste no time and let's start upgrading our Taranis. Alright. Alrighty, so here's everything we're going to need on the bench to upgrade our Taranis QX7, and I'm going to leave this little link to a video up here. Go and watch that because that goes through a whole bunch of different radios. And out of all the ones you can get at the moment for 2017, the Taranis QX7 was my top-notch pick because it has so many features at a fantastic price. Anyway, let's get in and find out how we can upgrade it and make it even better. So we've got the standard unit right here, and all we're going to be putting in today is some of these M7 Hall effect gimbals. These gimbals are a lot better than these ones. They feel fantastic, and then finally on the top, we're going to be putting on this pretty cool little silicone case. So everything I talk about, it'll be linked all down below, but let's get started. Let's find out how to upgrade our QX7. Alrighty, so the first thing we're going to do, make sure we're going to take out the battery. So I've already taken my battery out, take off this little module part right here, and then we're going to undo some screws. So there's 4 screws here because we need to open this up and get access to our gimbals. So there's simply 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to unscrew those, and then we're going to slide off this top shell. It comes off very, very easily. Just make sure when you're pulling it off, it's nice and straight because you don't want to actually bend. I'm going to take that sticker off. You don't want to actually bend any of these pins because there's a very small slit there. So when you're sliding it off, make sure you're pretty careful. Alrighty, so those are out. Let's slide it off. It should come off with no dramas whatsoever. So I'll put this to the side. Don't lose these 4 screws because we're going to have to use those to put it back in. Alrighty, with the top off, you can see it might look a little bit daunting with all this circuit board and everything going, all the wires going everywhere, but trust me, it's very, very easy. All you're going to find is it's very, very easy to switch out the gimbals. All you're going to find is you just have to unscrew 1, 2, 3, 4 screws per gimbal, and then the whole thing's going to be able to slide right out. Being very, very careful that you're not jolting or pushing any wires or anything like that, and then you're simply going to unplug it right here and you'll be ready to rock and roll. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to unscrew each one of these here, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we'll cut back and see what it looks like. So I've undone those 4 screws and we'll be able to pull that out in a minute, but what we're going to do, there's also a little part here you need to unscrew, and this is just like a little ribbon cable, or not a ribbon cable, this is just a little cable holder, I guess. So what we're going to need to do, we're going to need to loosen that just a little bit because otherwise we're not going to be able to pull it out nicely. So we're going to slide that off. And we'll put that to the side as well. That's also holding in some of the parts for our switches, so we don't want to pull all the wires out. And then we're simply going to unplug this part here very carefully. And then once that's done, our gimbal should slide out nice and easy. This ring part here, that might come out. If it does, just simply put it back. There's no right way or wrong way to put that in, so just slide that back in if you happen to pull that out as well. There we go. Alrighty, so now what we're going to do, let's do the same one to the other side as well. Too easy. So now let's put in our M7 gimbals, and when you're putting these in, we'll set the modes up in a little bit for mode 1 and mode 2, but when you're putting it in, make sure you're not crushing any wires, and you always want these little parts, so these little parts where the boards are and the wires are running to on the outside. So that means our gimbal's going to be around the right way. So that should simply sit in, and it's going to line up with the 4 holes underneath, so we'll be able to put the same screws in. So we're going to screw that in right now. Alrighty, so in about 2 minutes we've switched out our gimbals. What we're going to do now, we're going to plug these little parts that are the only 2 cables hanging off your sort of gimbal right here. We're going to plug them back into these little ports where we pulled them off on the board. So we're going to slide them in like that. They can only go in one way, so if it doesn't go one way, try the other one. And I would suggest holding it when you're pushing it down because you don't want to push all that pressure on the front of the gimbal. And if you're really getting stuck and you're not sure which way is the right way around, you can see there's 2 little teeth at the top, and there'll be 2 little marks in the top of this little tab. So if you line those up, you should have no dramas whatsoever. They are quite a stiff fit, so you're going to have to use a little bit of force. So that's it. That's how easy it is to replace our gimbal. There's still a few little things we need to do. Like we've got to put these little cable holders back in, but I'm not going to put the cables from the gimbals themselves in there because I feel like they're a little bit shorter, and if you're trying to push them all the way to the side, this green one here, it's definitely too tight, so we're just going to leave that one hanging loose. I might tie the other ones up though, so simply slide that protector back over your cables and secure it down, and then we'll be ready to keep going on with the build. So that's going to be nice. But yeah, I'm just going to leave that one loose. So that's how easy it is. It's literally plug and play, swap them out. But what we do need to do before we get started, I need to put this back to mode 2, because at the moment both the sticks are returning to the middle. So whether you use mode 1 or mode 2, this is how easy it is, because what we need to do, we need to make sure our throttle spring is removed, or at least not engaged. So for me, that means my throttle is going to be on the left hand side. So when I flip the radio over, that's there, because that's the throttle for mode 2 on the left. There's this little part right here where it's going up and down. What we want to do, we're going to try and slide this little flat screw that you get. So we're going to screw that in, and I don't know if this is going to come into focus or not, but this little part just here, you're going to slide it through that hole, so it's going to keep this spring from going back down. So we're going to do that now. Alrighty, and if we flip this over, you can see our throttle is no longer returning to the middle. So at the moment it's very loose, it's going all over the place. So in order to fix that, what we need to do, we're going to put on a little bit of tension on our throttle right there. So you can adjust that by these two parts right here. I'm going to screw down these. One side is like a little ratchety feel, so if you like the ratchety side, screw down this one with the little notches. The other one's for a more smooth side, or you can screw them both down and find something that works for you. So I'm just going to adjust these, screw them down a little bit and find out, you know, until it works. That actually, I think that's probably going to feel pretty good. You want to get this right before you put your radio back together. Yeah, I like it. That feels fantastic actually. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now some other parts too, I don't think I need to adjust mine anymore. They feel fantastic. But if you do want to adjust how tense, I guess, or how tight you think the springs are, there's two little parts you can do that on. So these parts right here, so you simply, if you look where this screw is going, hopefully you can see that, there's a little hex driver part there. You can put it in, tighten that, either, you know, tighten it or loosen it. That's going to adjust the tension on this spring right here. And the same value also goes for this one. The two parts are right there. So if you need to adjust it for your tension in either your pitch or your roll, you can adjust these two little pieces right there. So that's how easy it is to configure it. And I would say play around with it, flip it over, find out how it works for you. Like, actually I probably do need to loosen this one up just a little bit. Find out and make it so it's going to work for you, because these gimbals feel absolutely fantastic. And you want to spend the time, I think right now while it's open, getting them feeling just like you like it. So with that said and done, let's carefully slide this bit back on top, making sure you don't bend any of these pins that are sticking up right there. That's probably the parts you want to align first, so because they could be very easily damaged. There we go, nice and easy. Then we're going to put our 4 screws, we're going to screw it back together. Alrighty, so there it is. There's my QX7 with some upgraded gimbals, you know, and it's feeling fantastic. If you do want to make your sticks a little bit longer, if you want a little bit more throw on them, there's a little screw in here you can do. Simply screw that out with a hex key, then you can wind it out to make your sticks a bit longer or a bit shorter, whatever works for you. But to be honest, these things feel great. And a big reason for upgrading these gimbals, they're really top notch. They feel a little bit more padded when you get to the outside, and they don't wear out as much as the old gimbals that we used to have as well. So look, even though these ones were practically brand new, I know a lot of people out there are going to want to upgrade to the upgrade the gimbals because that's one of the biggest draws. These gimbals feel so much better. Now finally, the last little bit for me, you know, look, I think this radio feels okay, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this little silicone case around the outside so it's a little bit more grippy. I don't use one of these little neck chains to sort of hang it off my neck, so a little bit more grip is going to go a long way. So these silicone cases, they're linked down below if you want to check them out, but I'm going to put that over the top as well. And I would suggest do the antenna first, because that's probably the part you want the least to break. So I don't want to put too much pressure on my antenna, so I'm going to do that first, making sure all your switches and all those sorts of bits line up. Alrighty, so there it is. That's how easy it is to upgrade your Taranis QX7. So if you've got one of these, honestly, they're an absolutely fantastic radio. And for a few extra bucks, just putting in some gimbals and throwing on a case like this, you know, you've got some top level stuff. Alrighty, so there it is. Hopefully that helps some of you guys out there. Remember, if you've got a Taranis QX7, it's not difficult whatsoever to install some of these upgraded, you know, the M7 Hall Effect gimbals. I'll link everything down below, and then also, putting on this silicone case, not only does it look awesome, it also makes it a little bit more grippy. So if you've got one of these, I would say definitely think about doing the upgrade, because it's a great way to upgrade a fantastic value radio with some top level gimbals. Anyway, hope that you guys enjoyed that. Subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying! Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page, because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAVfutures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying!